The Vexery Galactic Empire had ruled the known universe for 12,000 years. Their fleets numbered in the millions. Their technology was so advanced that lesser species considered it magic. Their emperor, High Lord Jarvik, had never known defeat in his 800 years of life. The Empire had found every spacefaring civilization in the galaxy, and they had conquered or enslaved them all. The Vexery believed they were alone at the top of existence. They believed nothing could challenge their power. They believed wrong. Admiral Telvos was a respected commander in the Imperial Navy. He had served for 200 years and had crushed rebellions on dozens of worlds. Now he commanded a patrol fleet of 300 warships in the Andara sector. It was a quiet assignment. Nothing ever happened in this region of space. The Vexery had mapped every star system here centuries ago. There were only dead worlds and empty void. Admiral Telvos spent most of his days reviewing reports and waiting for something interesting to happen. On this particular day, something interesting happened. The sensors on his flagship began screaming alerts. Every ship in the fleet detected the same thing at the same moment. Space itself was tearing open. Admiral Telvos rushed to the command center and stared at the main display screen. A hole had appeared in the fabric of reality. It glowed with strange blue light and pulsed like a living thing. Then something came through. A ship emerged from the hole. It was unlike anything Admiral Telvos had ever seen. The vessel was angular and brutal in its design. It had no curves or elegant lines like Vexery ships. Instead, it was all hard edges and flat surfaces. Strange markings covered its hull in a language no Vexery had ever encountered. Weapons bristled from every surface, and they registered as completely unknown to the Imperial databases. The ship was not particularly large. It measured perhaps 800 meters in length, which made it smaller than most Vexery warships. But something about it made Admiral Telvos feel uneasy. His scales prickled with an instinct he could not explain. This ship felt dangerous in a way he had never experienced before. "Scan it," he ordered his science officer. "Tell me everything." The science officer was a young female named Vexa. She had graduated at the top of her class and was considered one of the brightest minds in the fleet. But as she worked in her console, her expression grew more and more confused. "Admiral," she said slowly, "the readings make no sense. The hull material is not in any of our records. We have never seen anything like it. The power signature coming from the ship is impossible according to our understanding of physics. And the drive system they used to arrive here does not match any known form of faster-than-light travel. This ship should not exist." Admiral Telvos felt the cold feeling in his stomach grow stronger. In 12,000 years, the Empire had cataloged every species and every technology in the galaxy. They had records of ships from civilizations that had died before the Vexery even achieved spaceflight. Yet this vessel was completely unknown. Where did it come from? He demanded. Vexa shook her head. "I do not know, Admiral. The energy signature suggests they folded space itself to travel here. But that technology is theoretical. No one has ever achieved it." Before Telvos could respond, a communication signal cut through all channels. It bypassed every security protocol and broadcast directly to every ship in the fleet. A voice spoke in perfect Vexery language, though there was something strange about the pronunciation. The words were correct, but the rhythm was alien. "This is Captain Nathan Cole of the USS Endeavour, representing the United Earth Coalition. We come in peace, but we are prepared for war. Identify yourselves." Admiral Telvos stood frozen for a moment. The bridge crew looked at him, waiting for orders. He had never heard of the United Earth Coalition. He had never heard of humans. No such species existed in any Imperial record. He composed himself and opened a channel to the unknown ship. On the screen appeared a creature unlike any he had seen. It had no scales. Its skin was smooth and pale. It had hair on top of its head, which was a feature the Vexery found disturbing. Two eyes looked back at him with an expression that Telvos could not read. "Unknown vessel," Admiral Telvos said in his most commanding voice. "You have entered the sovereign territory of the Vexery Galactic Empire. You will explain how you came to be here and where your homeworld is located." The creature called Nathan Cole did not seem intimidated. His expression remained calm and steady. "Admiral, we are explorers. Our ship was testing a new drive system, and we seem to have traveled further than we intended. We mean no harm to your empire. We would be happy to discuss peaceful relations between our species." Peaceful relations. The word sounded absurd to Admiral Telvos. The Vexery did not have peaceful relations with lesser species. They had subjects and slaves. They had conquered peoples who served the Empire or died. No civilization had ever negotiated with the Vexery as equals. "You misunderstand your situation," Telvos replied coldly. "The Vexery Galactic Empire does not negotiate. You will power down your weapons and shields. You will prepare to be boarded. Your ship will be seized and studied. Your crew will be taken for questioning. If you cooperate, you may be allowed to live as servants of the Empire. If you resist, you will be destroyed." He expected the human to show fear. Every species did when faced with the might of the Empire. But the creature on the screen did something unexpected. His expression did not change. His voice remained calm. "Admiral," Nathan Cole said quietly, "I hope we can avoid conflict. My people believe in peace when possible. But I want you to understand something very clearly. We will not power down our weapons. We will not surrender our ship. And we will not become servants of anyone." Admiral Telvos felt anger rise in his chest. This creature dared to refuse. One small ship against 300 warships? It was madness. "Then you have chosen death," he said and closed the channel. He turned to his tactical officer. "Order 50 ships to surround them. Prepare boarding parties. If they resist, destroy them." The tactical officer hesitated. "Admiral, should we not report this to Imperial Command first? This species is unknown. Perhaps we should wait for instructions." Telvos glared at him. "I have commanded fleets for 200 years. I do not need instructions to handle one lost ship. Execute my orders." As the Vexery ships began to move, Admiral Telvos felt confident. The unknown vessel would surrender or die. Either way, this incident would soon be over. He would deliver the alien ship and its crew to the Empire. And perhaps he would receive a commendation for discovering a new species. He did not know that this day would mark the beginning of the end for everything he believed in. He did not know that the creature called Nathan Cole was about to teach the Vexery Empire a lesson they would never forget. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same. Captain Nathan Cole stood on the bridge of the USS Endeavour and watched the alien fleet spread across his viewscreen. 300 warships surrounded his single vessel. Each one was larger than the Endeavour. Each one was armed with weapons that glowed with deadly energy. Any reasonable person would have been terrified. Nathan Cole was not terrified. He was angry. Behind him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. They had trained for years together. They had faced dangers before, but nothing like this. Commander Lisa Parks stood at the tactical station, her fingers moving across the controls as she tracked every enemy ship. Lieutenant Derek Wong sat at navigation, already calculating escape routes and attack vectors. Chief Engineer Sam Rodriguez monitored the ship systems from his station in the corner, his eyes fixed on the power readouts. The Endeavour was an experimental vessel. It was the first ship equipped with the dimensional fold drive, a technology that allowed travel across vast distances by folding space itself. Their mission had been simple: test a new drive with a short jump to an uninhabited system. Record the data. Return home. Instead, something had gone wrong. The jump had carried them further than anyone had ever traveled before, and they had arrived in the middle of an alien armada. 300 ships confirmed, Lisa reported. Her voice was steady despite the situation. All heavily armed. Weapons are not powered yet, but they are tracking us. 50 of them are breaking formation and moving to surround us. Nathan nodded slowly. He was 42 years old. He had served in the Earth military for 20 years. He had fought in the Mars conflicts and survived the Saturn station crisis. He had seen combat and death. But this was different. This was first contact with an alien civilization. He had dreamed about this moment since he was a child. He had imagined meeting strange beings from distant stars and sharing knowledge across the gulf of space. He had not imagined threats and demands and talk of slavery. "Derek," he said quietly, "how long to calculate a full jump back to Earth space?" Derek worked at his console for a moment. 20 minutes minimum, Captain. The drive needs time to charge, and the calculations are complex. If we rush it, we could end up anywhere. 20 minutes. Nathan looked at the alien ships closing in around them. He did not have 20 minutes. "Sam, what is our weapon status?" Sam Rodriguez checked his displays. "Railguns are fully loaded. Missile tubes are armed. Shields are at maximum. But Captain, we have never tested these systems against alien technology. We do not know if our weapons will work against their defenses. And we do not know if their weapons will work against ours," Nathan replied. That uncertainty cuts both ways. The communication panel lit up. The alien commander wanted to speak again. Nathan accepted the call, and the reptilian face appeared on screen once more. Admiral Telvos looked impatient. "Human vessel," the alien said. "You have been given an order. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. This is your final warning. The Vexury Empire does not repeat itself." Nathan studied the alien face. He saw arrogance there. He saw contempt. This creature looked at him the way a person might look at an insect. The Admiral truly believed that humans were inferior beings who should be grateful for the chance to serve as slaves. "Admiral Telvos," Nathan said calmly, "I understand that your empire has conquered many worlds. I understand that you believe yourself superior to all other species. But I need you to understand something about humanity. We do not bow to anyone. We do not surrender when threatened. And we do not accept slavery under any circumstances." The alien's eyes narrowed. "You speak boldly for a creature who faces certain death. One ship cannot stand against 300. "Perhaps not," Nathan admitted. "But we can make you pay a price for every life you take. And I promise you this, Admiral. Before this day ends, you will learn to respect the people of Earth." He closed the channel before the alien could respond. Then he turned to face his crew. They were looking at him, waiting for orders. He saw fear in some eyes, but also trust. They believed in him. He could not let them down. "Listen to me," Nathan said. "In a few minutes, we are going to fight. The odds are against us. I will not lie about that. But we have advantages they do not understand. Our shields work differently than theirs. Our weapons are designed for kinetic impact, not energy discharge. They have never faced technology like ours." He paused and looked at each of them in turn. "More importantly, they have never faced humans. They think we are weak because we are unknown. They think we will break because we are outnumbered. They are wrong. Every person on this ship chose to be here. Every person on this ship volunteered for this mission. We are explorers. We are soldiers. We are the first humans to meet another civilization among the stars." Lisa Park spoke up. "What are your orders, Captain?" Nathan turned back to the view screen. The 50 alien ships had nearly completed their encirclement. In moments, they would demand surrender again. And when he refused, they would attack. "Lisa, bring all weapons online. Target the lead ships in their formation." "Derek, the moment those fold calculations are ready, I want to know." "Sam, route all available power to shields and weapons. We are going to need everything we have." The crew moved to obey. Nathan watched the alien ships grow closer on the screen. His heart was beating fast, but his hands were steady. This was not how he had wanted first contact to go. He had hoped for peaceful exchange and mutual understanding. Instead, there would be fire and death. But if humanity's introduction to the galaxy had to be written in violence, then Nathan Cole would make certain it was a story the Vexery would never forget. They wanted to see what humans were made of. They wanted to test Earth's resolve. Very well. He would show them. "All stations report ready," Lisa announced. Nathan took a deep breath. "On my command, we break through their formation and head for open space. We fight our way out, and we do not stop until we are clear. Is that understood?" A chorus of acknowledgments came from his crew. On the view screen, the lead alien ship powered up its weapons. Bright energy gathered along its hull. The moment of decision had arrived. "They are charging weapons," Lisa reported. "Firing in 10 seconds. Nathan gripped the arms of his command chair. "All hands brace for combat. Return fire the instant they shoot." The first energy blast streaked toward the Endeavor. The Battle of Andara had begun. The first energy blast from the Vexery fleet struck the Endeavor's shields with tremendous force. The ship shook violently. Consoles sparked and alarms screamed throughout the bridge. Nathan Cole gripped his chair as the deck tilted beneath him. For one terrible moment, he thought the ship would break apart. Then the shaking stopped. The alarms fell silent, and the Endeavor was still there. Shields holding at 87%. Sam Rodriguez reported from his station. His voice was filled with wonder. "Captain, that blast should have destroyed us. Our shields absorbed it." Admiral Telvo stared at his display screen in disbelief. He had watched the human ship take a direct hit from his flagship's main cannon. That weapon could crack the hull of a Vexery battleship. Yet the alien vessel remained intact, its strange blue shields flickering but unbroken. "All ships, concentrate fire," he ordered. "Destroy them now." 300 Vexery warships opened fire at once. Plasma lances cut through space. Particle beams burned bright lines across the void. Nuclear torpedoes streaked toward the small human ship. It was enough firepower to shatter a moon. On the Endeavor, the crew watched death approach on their screens. "Brace for impact," Nathan ordered. The barrage struck. The shields flared brilliant blue as they absorbed hit after hit. The ship bucked and rolled under the assault. Metal groaned. Lights flickered. A power conduit exploded in the corridor outside the bridge. But when the storm of fire ended, the Endeavor was still flying. "Shields at 51%, Sam called out. "Minor damage to secondary systems. Hull integrity maintained." Nathan allowed himself a small smile. Earth scientists had spent decades studying exotic matter and quantum field theory. They had developed shields that could disperse energy attacks across multiple dimensional planes. The Vexery had never seen anything like it because no one in the galaxy had ever built anything like it. "Lisa," he said, "return fire. Target their lead ships." Commander Lisa Park had been waiting for this moment. Her fingers danced across the tactical controls. The Endeavor's railguns came alive. Railgun technology was simple in principle. Use powerful magnets to accelerate a solid metal projectile to incredible speeds. The Endeavor's guns fired slugs of tungsten at 15% the speed of light. Against the vacuum of space, there was nothing to slow them down. The first round struck a Vexery cruiser amidships. The enemy shields were designed to stop energy weapons. They had no defense against a physical projectile moving at relativistic velocity. The slug punched through the shield like it was not there. It tore through the hull and exited the other side, leaving a massive hole behind. The cruiser's reactor went critical. The ship exploded in a ball of fire. Before the debris had finished spreading, 2 more Vexery ships died the same way. Admiral Telvos watched in horror as his vessels were destroyed. 3 ships gone in seconds. 3 warships that had crushed rebellions and conquered worlds, killed by a single enemy. What manner of weapons are these? He demanded. Our shields did nothing. His science officer Vexa worked frantically at her console. Their weapons fire physical projectiles, Admiral. Solid matter at extreme velocity. Our shields are calibrated for energy absorption. They cannot stop kinetic impacts, then recalibrate them. It would take hours to reprogram the shield generators. We do not have that time. On the Endeavor, Derek Wong called out from navigation. Captain, I have a path through their formation. If we move now, we can break free. Nathan looked at the tactical display. The Vexery fleet was in chaos. Ships were breaking formation, trying to avoid the fate of their destroyed companions. It was exactly the opening he needed. Do it. All ahead full. The Endeavor surged forward. Its engines burned bright as it accelerated toward a gap in the enemy line. Vexery ships tried to block its path, but they were too slow. The human ship danced between them, twisting and turning with a grace that should have been impossible for a vessel its size. Lisa kept firing as they moved. Every shot found its target. Vexery hulls cracked. Reactors exploded. Ships died. Admiral Telvos screamed orders at his fleet. Stop that ship. Ram it if you must. Do not let them escape. A Vexery destroyer tried to intercept. Derek saw it coming and rolled the Endeavor aside at the last moment. Lisa put 3 railgun rounds through its bridge as they passed. The destroyer went dark and began to tumble through space. The battle raged for 17 minutes. It felt like hours. The Endeavor took hit after hit, but the shields held. Sam worked miracles in engineering, rerouting power and patching systems as fast as they failed. Derek flew like a man possessed, finding paths through the enemy formation that should not have existed. Lisa never missed a shot, and Nathan held them all together. His voice remained calm throughout the fight. His orders were clear and precise. When fear threatened to overwhelm his crew, they looked at their captain and found strength. Finally, they broke through. The Endeavor emerged from the far side of the Vexery fleet, battered but alive. Behind them, the enemy ships fell into disarray. Admiral Telvos surveyed the destruction with mounting horror. 47 of his ships were gone. 47 warships destroyed by a single vessel crewed by a species he had never heard of. It was impossible. It was a nightmare. Admiral, his communications officer said quietly, "The human ship is moving away. Should we pursue?" Telvos looked at the scattered remains of his fleet. His commanders were confused and frightened. Their confidence was shattered. If he ordered a pursuit and lost more ships, he would face execution for incompetence. "No," he said, and the word tasted like ashes. "All ships withdraw. We return to Imperial space immediately." The surviving Vexery ships powered up their hyperdrives and fled. Within minutes, the Endeavor was alone among the wreckage of battle. On the bridge, Nathan Cole released a breath he had not realized he was holding. His hands were shaking now that the danger had passed. Around him, his crew slumped in their chairs, exhausted beyond words. "Derek," Nathan said quietly, "get us home. Earth needs to know what is out there." Derek nodded and began entering the coordinates for the fold jump. The damaged ship turned toward home dock behind them. 47 destroyed warships tumbled through the void. They were the first casualties of a war that had only just begun. The Vexry Empire had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. They had never been defeated. They had never known fear. Now they knew both, and somewhere in the distance, a small blue world waited, unaware that everything was about to change. News of the Battle of Andara spread through the Vexry Empire like a disease. Within days, every citizen knew what had happened. A single alien ship had defeated a fleet of 300 warships. 47 vessels destroyed. The rest sent fleeing in shame. It was the first military defeat the Empire had suffered in 12,000 years. Footage of the battle was broadcast across every world the Vexry controlled. Billions watched in stunned silence as the small human ship tore through their mighty fleet. They saw their weapons fail. They saw their ships explode. They saw the impossible happen before their eyes. On Vexa Prime, the throne world of the Empire, Lord Jarvik sat in his palace of black crystal and waited for Admiral Telvus to arrive. The Emperor was ancient by any standard. He had lived for 800 years, his body preserved by technologies that lesser species would call miraculous. In all that time, he had never known defeat. He had crushed every rebellion. He had conquered every enemy. He had believed his empire would last forever. Now doubt crept into his heart like poison. Admiral Telvos entered the throne room and immediately fell to his knees. His scales were pale with fear. He knew the punishment for failure. He knew he might not leave this room alive. "Rise," Jarvik commanded. His voice was cold as the void between stars. "Tell me what happened." Telvos stood but kept his eyes lowered. "My lord, we encountered a ship from an unknown species. They called themselves humans. Their vessel was small, but possessed technology unlike anything in our records. Their shields absorbed our weapons. Their projectile weapons bypassed our defenses. I attempted to capture them, but they fought their way free. You had 300 ships," Jarvik said slowly. 300 against one. And you lost 47 vessels before ordering retreat. My lord, I believe pursuit would cost more ships. Their weapons were too effective. Their pilot was too skilled. I made the decision to preserve our remaining forces." Jarvik was silent for a long moment. The assembled court held their breath. Everyone expected the Admiral to die for his failure, but Jarvik was not a fool. Killing Telvos would not undo the defeat. And the Admiral's report contained valuable information. "Your failure is noted," the Emperor said finally. "But you have given us knowledge of a new enemy. That has value. You will live, Admiral, but you will spend the rest of your days hunting these humans. Do not return until you have found their homeworld." Telvos bowed deeply. "Yes, my lord. I will not fail again." After the Admiral departed, Jarvik turned to his war council. 12 of the greatest military minds in the Empire stood before him. They had spent days analyzing the battle footage and studying every piece of information Telvos had provided. "Speak," Jarvik commanded. "Tell me about these humans." Grand Admiral Korvax stepped forward. He was the supreme commander of all Vexry military forces, a warrior who had led fleets in 100 campaigns. "My lord, the humans are clearly a young species. Their ship was small, and their technology, while effective, showed signs of being recently developed. They are not an ancient power. They are newcomers to space travel. Yet they defeated 47 of our ships," Jarvik noted. "Because we underestimated them," Korvax replied. "We sent patrol vessels against an enemy we did not understand. That was a mistake. But it is a mistake we will not repeat." He activated a holographic display showing the energy signature of the human ship. "Our scientists have analyzed the dimensional fold technology they used. We believe we can trace it back to its point of origin. With time, we will find their homeworld." Jarvik leaned forward on his throne. And when you find it, we will send a proper fleet. Not 300 ships. 3,000. We will bring enough firepower to crack their planet in half, if necessary. These humans embarrassed us, my lord. They made us look weak. The subject species are watching. If we do not respond with overwhelming force, they may begin to question our power. The Emperor nodded slowly. Korvax was right. The real danger was not the humans themselves. It was what their victory represented. For 12,000 years, the Vexery had ruled through fear. Their subjects obeyed because they believed resistance was impossible. But now a single ship had proven that the Empire could be hurt. If that idea spread, rebellions would follow. Find them, Sharvik commanded. And when you do, I want to witness their destruction personally. I will lead the fleet myself. On Earth, the Endeavor's return caused a different kind of upheaval. Captain Nathan Cole's report was delivered directly to the United Earth Coalition Council. Within hours, every government on the planet knew the truth. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and the species they had encountered wanted them dead or enslaved. Defense. Minister Claire Morgan addressed the full council in an emergency session. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had spent her career preparing for threats that most people thought would never come. The Vexery control thousands of star systems, she explained. Their fleet numbers in the millions of ships. They have conquered every civilization they have ever encountered. And now they know we exist. Councilman Daniel Price spoke up. How long until they find Earth? Unknown. Captain Cole believes we have months at most. Perhaps less. Then what do we do? Price demanded. We have one ship with full drive capability. One ship cannot defend an entire planet. Admiral Kevin Ross stood from his seat. He commanded all of Earth's military forces, and he had spent the last week working without sleep. One ship bought us time. Now we use that time. He activated a display showing plans for dozens of new vessels. The Endeavor proved our technology works. We can build more ships. Every shipyard on Earth and in the colonies is already working at full capacity. We are also adapting the full drive for our existing fleet. Captain Nathan Cole spoke from his seat at the table. He had barely recovered from the battle, but he had insisted on being present. The Vexery are powerful, but they have weaknesses. They have never faced an enemy they could not overwhelm with numbers. They do not know how to fight someone who hits back. They expected us to surrender. When we did not, they had no backup plan. Minister Morgan studied the young captain. What are you suggesting? Nathan met her eyes. I am suggesting that we do not wait for them to come to us. We have a chance to prepare. We should use every moment. Build ships. Train crews. Develop new weapons. When the Vexery arrive, they will expect to find a helpless world waiting to be conquered. He stood and looked around the room at the leaders of humanity. Let us show them how wrong they are. The council voted unanimously. Earth would prepare for war. And across the planet, millions of people went to work building the fleet that would defend their world. They did not know how much time they had. They did not know what was coming. But they knew one thing with absolute certainty. They would not surrender. They would not submit. And they would never give up. The Empire was coming. And humanity would be ready. 3 months passed. On Earth, those months felt like days. Every shipyard worked without rest. Factories produced weapons and ammunition around the clock. Scientists refined the full drive technology and developed new shield systems. Millions of volunteers joined the military. The planet had never been so united. Every nation, every people, every individual understood what was at stake. Survival. Captain Nathan Cole spent those months training new crews and advising the construction of the growing fleet. The Endeavor was repaired and upgraded. Commander Lisa Park was promoted and given her own ship. Derek Wong and Sam Rodriguez stayed with Nathan, refusing any transfer. They had faced death together. They would face it again. By the end of 3 months, Earth had built 2,000 warships. Each one carried the same technology that had allowed the Endeavor to survive against impossible odds: quantum shields, railgun batteries, full drives. They were smaller than Vexery vessels on average, but they were fast and deadly. Admiral Kevin Ross took command of the defense fleet. He positioned his ships throughout the solar system, hiding them behind moons and within asteroid fields. If the Vexery came expecting an easy conquest, they would find a trap instead. The humans did not have to wait long. The Vexery traced the dimensional fold signature to a small yellow star on the edge of the galaxy. They found a blue-green world orbiting in the habitable zone. Life signs covered its surface. This was the human homeworld. This was Earth. High Lord Jarvik himself joined the invasion fleet as he had promised. He wanted to witness the destruction of these upstart creatures personally. 3,000 warships assembled under his command. It was the largest single fleet deployment in Vexery history. Enough firepower to burn a dozen worlds to ash. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Jarvik stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, and looked upon the tiny world that had dared to challenge his empire. "Begin the approach," he commanded. "I want to see their faces when they realize how futile their resistance truly is." Grand Admiral Korvax stood beside him, monitoring the tactical displays. "No enemy ships detected, my lord." "Perhaps they have already fled." Jarvik smiled coldly. "They have nowhere to flee. This is their only world. We will take it from them and sell the survivors as slaves across the empire." The fleet moved inward. They passed the outer planets without incident. They crossed the asteroid belt and continued toward Earth. The blue world grew larger on their screens. Victory seemed certain. Then Korvax noticed something strange on his sensors. "My lord," he said slowly, "I am detecting multiple energy signatures throughout this system. Thousands of them." Before Jarvik could respond, space itself seemed to ripple. From behind moons, from within asteroid fields, from positions scattered across the entire solar system, ships began to appear. Human ships. Not one ship, not 10, not 100. 2,000 warships emerged from hiding. Each one bore the markings of the United Earth Coalition. Each one bristled with the same weapons that had devastated Admiral Telvis's fleet 3 months before. Jarvik stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Impossible. They were supposed to be primitive. They were supposed to have nothing. Korvax's scales had gone pale. "My lord, they have been building. They used the time we gave them. They were preparing for us." On the bridge of the newly commissioned flagship USS Horizon, Admiral Kevin Ross watched the Vexery fleet with grim satisfaction. 3,000 enemy ships, 3,000 targets. Beside him, Captain Nathan Cole commanded the tactical display. Lisa Park, Derek Wong, and Sam Rodriguez had all been given positions of honor in the battle group. Ross opened a channel to the entire human fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral Ross. The enemy has come to our home. They came to conquer us. They came to enslave us. They came believing we would bow before their might." He paused and looked at the faces of his bridge crew. They were young and old men and women from every nation on Earth. They were afraid, but they were also determined. They were wrong. "All ships, engage." The human fleet surged forward. Fold drives activated, allowing ships to appear and disappear across the battlefield with impossible speed. One moment a human vessel would be on one side of the Vexery formation. The next it would be behind them, firing into their unprotected rears. Railguns tore through Vexery hulls. Missiles carrying antimatter warheads detonated against shields. Human pilots flew with courage and skill, pressing every advantage their technology gave them. The Vexari fought back with desperation. Their energy weapons filled space with deadly light. Ships died on both sides. But for every human vessel lost, 5 Vexari ships fell. Jarvik watched his invasion fleet crumble around him. Ships that had conquered worlds were being torn apart by creatures he had dismissed as primitives. His greatest admirals were dying. His finest warriors were failing. How is this possible? He demanded. They are nothing. They should not have this strength. Korvax was working frantically at his console. My lord, we need to withdraw. We are losing too many ships. If we stay, we will be destroyed. I will not retreat, Jarvik snarled. I am the High Lord of the Vexari Empire. I have never retreated. Then you will die here, Korvax said quietly. A railgun round punched through the bridge of the Eternal Dominion. Korvax died instantly. Jarvik was thrown across the deck as his flagship began to break apart around him in his final moments. The ruler of the Vexari Galactic Empire understood something his species had never learned in 12,000 years of conquest. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders. It held species that could surprise them. It held enemies that could defeat them. They had believed themselves masters of existence. They had been wrong. The battle ended 3 hours after it began. Of 3,000 Vexari warships, none survived. The greatest invasion fleet ever assembled had been utterly destroyed. Earth had won. In the aftermath, the Vexari Empire fractured. Subject species rose up against their masters. Rival factions fought for control. The empire that had endured for 12 millennia began to collapse. And humanity looked outward at the stars. They had won their first battle, but they knew it would not be their last. Other empires existed out there. Other dangers waited. But they were no longer afraid. Captain Nathan Cole stood on the observation deck of a station orbiting Saturn. The wreckage of the battle was still being cleared. Ships were being repaired. The dead were being mourned. But there was also hope. They had faced annihilation and survived. Lisa Park joined him at the window. Think there will be more? Nathan watched Earth rise in the distance, blue and green and beautiful. Somewhere down there, billions of people were celebrating their survival. Children were playing without fear. Families were together. Yes, he said quietly. But we showed them something today. We showed them what happens when you threaten our home. We showed them what humans are made of. He turned to his friend and smiled. And now the whole galaxy knows. Humanity is here to stay. The stars shone bright in the darkness. And among them, somewhere far away, other species were telling stories about the impossible creatures from a small blue world. The creatures who had refused to surrender. The creatures who had fought back against the greatest empire in history. The creatures called humans, and the universe would never forget them.